council. Kimberly, would you take the roll?
Sure. Greg?
Here.
Scott?
I'm here.
Dan?
Here.
Ann Rothman?
Not here.
She wrote us before the meeting that she's sick and will not be attending.
Okay. Claire?
Here.
Kimberly here. Gus?
I'm here.
Okay, great. And just for the record, we have a piece of business to take care of. So I have to say the following. I'm attending remotely under the Just Cause provisions of AB 2449 because of the caregiving needs of my parent. I'm attending from a private room with a closed door, and there's no one in the house under 18 years of age. Having said that, I believe I have reached a limit in terms of the number of meetings that I can be remote. And so I think it is now the council's duty to vote whether to accept my attendance and ability to vote at this meeting.
I move that Kimberly Williams be allowed to attend and vote at this meeting remotely due to circumstances beyond her control. Second.
Awesome. All right.
Kimberly has
Passes.
to.
Yeah, Kimberly, call the roll.
Okay. Greg?
Yes.
Scott?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
Claire?
Yes.
Gus?
Yes.
And I probably don't vote on my own, do I?
I don't
On
think
me.
so.
Not until
Okay.
you vote.
So it passes with one absentee vote.
Okay, great. Awesome. Then let's do reports of government officials. Let's start with
The agenda begins with, help me out here.
Yeah.
yeah, like
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Government officials first, and then we'll do council follow-ups. So report from government officials. So first, Marisol.
There's an echo, I think.
I think it's coming from over here.
Hey, everybody. Okay. Good evening. Good to see you all. So the only announcement that I have tonight is that the county supervisor asked the county to address the issue regarding the RVs of the Burnham Strip 2 months ago. And so the county's been working on the issue since then. The supervisor also checked in with county today, and there is a meeting scheduled tomorrow regarding removing the RVs. I don't have details regarding the meeting, but just wanted to relay that to you all.
Awesome. Do we have questions for Marisol?
I see Barbara Dye is here.
Well, do we have any questions for Marisol before we go to anybody else?
Can I make a quick comment?
Yeah. Go ahead.
So Marisol, there are other spots. I wish I knew the name of that road that goes by Barbara's Fish Trap. There are also RVs parked along that permanently. So is that going to be included?
I will check to see what locations they have. So
Okay.
I'll check with the supervisor. But if you
Okay.
do happen to think of any other locations, if you can maybe send them to Gus or Greg, and they can forward it to us.
Okay, I'll take some
That's
pictures
okay.
and send them to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any questions from the public for Marisol? No? Great. Okay, then I see we have Harvey. Let's go Harvey next and then.
Oh, sorry, I just wanted to add, tonight
Yes.
I will stay for the whole meeting, so.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yay. Great. Thank you so much, Marisol. Harvey, got anything for us?
A couple of things. At the last city council meeting, we passed the housing element draft number 3. And we're going to send it off to HCD once the 7-day comment period ends, which is September 5th. So if anybody wants to make any comments, you have until September 5th to submit them to the city. They'll be included in the comments that HCD receives. And we're dearly hoping that we get back the comments from HCD and that we can actually approve the final version by the end of the year, because that's really important. If we don't, we're going to be subject to perhaps the builder's remedy next year, and we don't want that. Also, on my list, let me just check my list here. At the last meeting, we also approved the local roadway safety program, which is something that was developed by the county and with input from different cities. And the safety program includes making sure that we have addressed some of the intersections on Highway 1, that the Kelly Avenue with Highway 1 intersection will be developed. It's probably one of the more dangerous places. So it identifies a lot of steps that we can take to improve roadway safety. On average, we have 3 fatalities in Half Moon Bay every year. Mostly car related, some pedestrians. So that's really unacceptable in a city of our size, and we sure work to have 0 fatalities, and that's the goal. And the last item on my list is I am now the lucky recipient of being on the SAM board, the Sewer Authority Midcoast side. So that's gonna be a lot of fun. Deborah Penrose had to resign for health reasons. So Debbie Ruddick and I are now the Half Moon Bay representatives. Not contentious at all. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Awesome. Any questions from the council for Harvey? Nope. Okay, any questions for him from the public? Nope. Okay, Harvey, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Do we have anybody else? Barbara, did you want to any updates for us from your end, or anybody else?
Nope.
Nope.
Just here listening.
Okay, awesome. All right, well then, on we go to council follow-up reports. Greg,
Okay.
tell us about Montero Mountain.
Let me see if I can find what I need to find. That didn't work. Sorry, there is a PowerPoint presentation that I'm trying to share.
While he's looking, can I ask Harvey a quick question? I joined late.
Sure, go ahead, Sid.
Harvey, has the city council talked about clearing out the pathway under Highway 1 where the stray dogs and some of the unhoused are hanging out? You might have talked about it, but I joined late.
We haven't explicitly talked about it, Sid, but it's definitely something of concern for the whole city. And we have clean teams out there trying to clean up the area. There's a new encampment behind the post office that we have to deal with too. So we're fully aware. We also had one guy who had been camping out on Poplar Beach, and he's no longer there.
Good. Well, I guess the Supreme Court gave you guys permission to start going after that. I know San Francisco's been working really hard at clearing their encampments. Just wanted to see if you were working on it. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Great, thanks, Sid. All right, Greg, you ready for us?
Yeah, I'm ready. I hope you can see my screen, which is a slide. So it seems it was over 2 years ago, a group of local residents pointed out that SFPUC had done some work and chopped the top off Montero Mountain, including the elevation marker and so forth. This led to a bit of maybe outrage is too strong, but severe concern on part of local residents. And the Montero Water and Sanitary District also got involved. In particular, I remember Sean Handel and Mark Berlander, but I'm sorry, there were other people whose names are escaping me. And the Montero Water and Sanitary District, as well as the MCC, both expressed concern and met with SFPUC. And I think his name is Tim Ramirez, who works for Steve Ritchie, agreed they would follow up and do something. And now over 2 years later, they followed up and are doing something. And so, I mean, I hope we get the same kind of progress eventually on other issues you'll hear about tonight, but I just wanted to review what the design SFPUC shared was to restore the top of the mountain. And I hope to be able to step through this slideshow and do so. The location of the project is literally the highest point on Montara Mountain. And this is like a 9-slide video that we had a separate Zoom call with 2 or 3 of the people from SFPUC, Sean, Mark, head of the mountain biking group. I can't remember, some other involved citizens who recreate and are concerned about that mountain regularly. And they showed us what things look like now, which is on this slide. And some of the vegetation that's up there. In particular, I recall a lot of the manzanita, which is actually uniquely named for Montara Mountain. A lot of other people have talked about the San Bruno elfin butterfly and other rare endangered species. And so they've come up with a plan, and I'll apologize. Let me see if I can zoom in a little here. A plan which includes creating a graded road or path up to the top, adding elevation at that site, putting in a couple of signs, these little blue rectangles here are interpretive signs, and a form of fencing, a split rail fence, and then below it a utility fence, which is shown in red, and a gate, but to leave the gate open for access. I can't remember why they need to close it. Let me see the next slide here. If I can zoom out. This just shows what the split rail fence will look like, what the utility fence will look like, an example of other interpretive signs. And then some of the small berms they propose to surround that area with. And this is a conceptual area, conceptual view. What?
Is that what the green is in that picture? Is that
The
berm?
green in the prior picture is where they're going to seed, okay, with appropriate species. That green border there. So this shows what the view is intended to look like in the boulders. And it looks like they think they could actually finish it this year. Okay, well, remember, we've waited over 2 years. Sean kept following up and so forth. I will tell you that we did receive some comments during this. In particular, the request was the vegetation used to be about shoulder height, and that prevented people from, you know, sliding off the side accidentally. And the request was if that fence could be reduced, maybe just limited to wire that didn't block as much of the view. You know, and let's see how the vegetation regrows. They also was requested that, excuse me for a second, the signs be not placed at the top, but moved down on the road. So again, as to not create a human-induced structure. This top of the site is described as a mystical experience. First Nations apparently believe something along those lines. And so there was concern about minimizing the human footprint on this. All right, so are there any questions I can address at this time, just to tell you that we did follow up and something is being done?
Questions from the council? Dan?
Yeah, on the fence, who was it that made the suggestion to have wire versus the split rail?
I think that was Mark Berlander, but it wouldn't necessarily have to be wired, just something that's not as obtrusive.
Yeah, split rail is, I think, the most natural kind of feel of a fence, and it's, you know, it's open. Sometimes you can get into wire, you know, you got that reflective and more of the unnatural. I don't know. I guess there'll be other times to comment on this, or
Yeah, and I can pass on comments on behalf of the council and give you the names of the SFPUC people.
okay. Yeah, I think like most you know, state parks, et cetera. Use this split rail. They have the split rail along, although it needs to be upgraded, I guess, along the California Coastal Trail. That's all.
Any other questions from the council? Kimberly?
Following Dan's question, will there be a public comment period for these plans?
That's a good question. They might think we just had it, but I will express a request from the council.
Is it effectively private property? Like, are they obligated to do period?
I can't comment on that, whether it's private property or not.
It's public
I think
money.
it depends on the permits that they are required to get.
Certainly SFPU believes it has watershed rights. Okay, but where we got into part of the conflict is that technically that's the point at which the watershed splits, and Montero Water and Sanitary District also has watershed rights. So I can't begin to tell you who is governing
Okay.
that.
Well, why don't
Maybe
we call-
Lisa or Barbara know the answer?
I was gonna say, let's call on Lisa and then Barbara, because I bet both of them have something to add.
It
Okay,
says,
Lisa first and then Barbara.
The
Pardon me?
project, if you want to comment some more, the project will be coming to the planning commission. I don't know when, but it says on the case summary, it says it's required to get a CDP.
Yes, and that was one of the things that was established when they visited the site a couple of years ago, because you can see Highway 1 and the coast.
So therefore requires a CV. Right, got it. Awesome. Barbara?
Yes, I just want to make sure that the plant palette they're going to put up there gets reviewed by a local biologist. There's lots of native plant palettes that would be completely wrong for that site. So can we somehow make the request that they have, like Tony Corelli, who's our local native plant expert, or someone else who really knows the appropriate plants for that mountain? I'm sure we can find someone to look at the plant palette.
Yeah, Barbara, would you paste that name into the chat? And I could also ask Jill
I already
Grant.
did.
Oh, okay. Okay, what else are you gonna tell me? Okay,
That's
go
all.
ahead.
That was my main comment. Thank you.
Thanks, Barbara. Awesome. Was that everything you needed, Kimberly?
No, I noticed the gravel that's up there, but I'm wondering, they're not planning on paving any of it.
My understanding is permeable surfaces only, yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay.
But as Lisa just said, we can confirm all this when the permit gets to planning.
Okay, great. Any others from the council? No? All right, Sid?
yeah, wait a minute.
Oh, wait, what? Sorry, did you have
Anything more on Greg or anything more at all?
anything more on this issue?
This agenda item.
Okay,
Okay,
Sid Young has your hand up.
yes. Sid?
Oh, maybe she doesn't have her hand up.
it's been up the
You're
whole
on
time.
mute.
Okay.
On the slide that had the scene with the picket fence in it, or the split rail fence, there's a big telephone pole. Are they going to get rid of that? Or is that something that can't be gotten rid of if you're worried about the view?
I know of no plans to remove the
Okay.
telecommunications infrastructure.
All right. Well, I mean, if they're worried about the view being not for indigenous species, native peoples, that's kind of, kind of in the view too. Anyway, that's all right.
Great. Thanks, Sid. All right,
Sure.
Kimberly, you have a comment?
Sorry, Sid reminded me that I actually was curious, so there's several things going on at the same time, and I'm wondering, are these different projects talking to each other? Because the telecommunications infrastructure, there's a lot going on there right now, and how will these projects impact each other? Maybe that's something we can ask SFPUC if they're actually aware and talking to the other stakeholders.
I can certainly ask them.
Yeah.
I'm unaware that they are.
I mean, as I recall, there was going to be some work done by,
Really?
I'm sorry, what? I think someone's talking.
I'm muting people that I could find, yeah.
American Tower had a permit to do some, or had requested a permit to do some work. I'm wondering how that impacts this and just the different connections to the road.
Yeah, that's a great point. Okay, any other questions for Greg on this stuff? Nope, okay, thank you, Greg. It's great to see something actually happening with that. Okay, so next up would be public comment on items that are not.
No.
Oh, we have another council follow-up.
Announcement, yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted to give some credit to some of our fellow agencies that have gotten awards. The Samtrans won the Outstanding Mid-Sized Public Transit System Award from American Public Transportation Association. And the Cabrillo Unified School District won an award from the United States Department of Education for being a green ribbon district, which means they've integrated sustainability concerns into their operations and curriculum. So I just wanted to give credit to both of those groups.
If I recall correctly, Cabrillo was one of 10 districts in the country that received that award. And I heard about this program where the government has money to match solar installation and other green development. And they were broadcasting it because throughout the nation, a lot of school districts didn't know this program existed. And at the time I heard the broadcast, Sean McFederidge and Cabrillo were already 2 years into obtaining the funds and building the infrastructure. So truly, Cabrillo is a national leading in this regard. And my understanding from another school board member is there are significant savings from the solar energy that is being created.
That's great. Great, awesome. Any other updates from other? No, okay. Any other council updates or we go to public comment? Nope. Okay, so public comment time on items on the agenda. If you would like to go ahead and step up to the mic.
State your name and where you live.
Good evening, members of the Midcoast Council, Hal Bogner, Half Moon Bay. And I wanted to just speak on behalf of the Let HMB Voters Decide Committee. I wish to address the Midcoast Council to correct Half Moon Bay City Council Vice Mayor Harvey Rohrbach's assertion at your August 14th MCC meeting that Half Moon Bay's city attorney had told the city council that the petition to referend the denial of 3 appeals against the city's approval of a 5-story building at 555 Kelly Avenue was illegal and had to be denied, that was at a minimum misleading, and to make certain that his suggestion that any MCC members were thus possibly acting improperly if we were involved in perhaps helping with that, be dismissed. The attorney, in fact, asserted that the subject of the petition was an administrative quote unquote act and not a quote legislative act. And thus the city council had no obligation to accept it as a matter of law. As we warned the city council by letter on August 5th, this is a position that not all of the city's planning commissioners agree with. However, ultimately, it is a question that could be taken to a judge. And it turns out that there will be little reason to spend time and money litigating for a simple and more democratic reason, which I will explain. In fact, after extensive public comment, Council member Debbie Ruddock made a motion to set a further special meeting 2 days later to give the council the option of respecting the expressed wishes of 1,000+ Half Moon Bay voters who signed the petition in just over 3 weeks and placing the referendum on the November 5th ballot. The city attorney did not intervene. Sadly, the motion died for lack of a second, and as a result, the committee to let HMB voters decide will gather signatures a second time when the city completes their negotiations to lease the city-owned property to the nonprofit developer, an indisputably, quote, legislative, unquote, act. And the city will face having to schedule a special election some months or so later. I'd like to share this letter with the Midcoast Council members and enter it into the record so as to correct this effort to deflect responsibility from a city council which chooses to ignore and ride roughshod over their own electorate, with only one member respecting the voters' right to weigh in on a major decision for the people of Half Moon Bay. On behalf of the committee, thanks to each of you who serve here for your tireless work to ensure that the voices of the citizens of the coast side are heard, and for helping us set the record straight. And for that purpose, please include this statement in the minutes of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll provide that.
Oh, no, great.
Electronic.
That'd be great. Yes, you would send it to the MCC email.
Yeah, I'll post it if you send it. Thanks, Al.
Thank you.
Thanks, Hal. Do we have any other public comments on items not on the agenda? Nope.
Yes.
Oh, yes, we do.
Carlene
From Carlene.
Polnar.
Carlene, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. My name is Carlene Foldenauer. I'm the Safe Routes to School Coordinator on the coast side, so the 3 school districts on the coast side, including Cabrillo Unified School District. We had worked with Greg back in 2022 regarding our concerns about certain intersections with no stop signs near Farallon View Elementary School. And Greg worked with us, to work with the county, and unfortunately, in the end, they basically said that the intersections didn't meet the requirements for stop signs, and that a study would need to be done for both Moss Beach and Montera. And so Greg and the council put in a request for that. And I don't remember hearing what happened with our request for a Moss Beach Montera traffic study.
Would you like to comment?
Yes.
As best I know, this is one of several items we never received a reply from the county. Although I did follow up off the record with an employee who said that there wasn't enough money to do it. But I don't recall anybody giving us a written answer or a reply in council.
And could we follow up on that? And
If we could, I'd like to ask Marisol to check into it, and I will provide her a copy of the letter we wrote. This stemmed from an incident where a vehicle clipped a child on a tricycle near the school.
it was a bike. It was a bike, not a tricycle.
Okay, a bike. And as I recall, I suggested, and it was agreed, that there are, if you don't have the proper traffic statistics, and we don't have a volume of traffic, right? What we just have is an unsafe situation. There are a variety of warning signs that can be put up within 1,000 or 1,200 feet without requiring, I think they're called traffic warrants, to be studied. And yet nothing has been done in that regard. That's where I last recall making the request that they explore putting in yellow warning signs and striping if they couldn't put in the stop signs and the more stringent controls.
Yeah, I have the letter from November 30th, 2022 that was sent to the Board of Supervisors and to the Department of Public Works. Herein requesting immediate funding and priority for a traffic study as the first step in preventing the next fatal accident. So I just wasn't sure if I missed, what came of that. I would just love to know, because that was kind of our last hope.
Okay, so we can follow up with Marisol after the meeting today or later this week.
Thank you very much.
It wouldn't hurt to trim some of those bushes back from the intersections either. That would be easy.
Okay.
Just for the record, I did allude to this when we submitted the CRISP list of infrastructure projects as item 30, I believe, on that list. because there's something called the Safe Routes to School Planning Initiative, which was part of Connect the Coast Side. And I wanted to make sure this was addressed, as part of that effort.
By the way, if money is an issue, I think the Transportation Authority is about to do a safe routes to school call for projects or something in the next, like in their next round of stuff. I have that meeting on Tuesday, so I can ask that question then.
Great.
Okay.
Before we move on to the next topic, I wanted to say thank you very much, Carlene, for bringing that up, and thank you, Greg, for being in communication with us about that as well. Just wanted to point out that while we did bring these concerns up in 2022, we just started school, 2 weeks ago, and we have already had 2 very close calls with our own crossing guards that we've implemented. And both of them have had cars drive directly beside them while they're in the crosswalk with a stop sign in their hands. So the concerns about safety and watching out for kids and school staff are still very much here and present. So any assistance and any sort of study we can get, I'm happy to help provide anecdotal data such as this and see what we can do to get increased signage. That would be wonderful. Thank you.
And I misspoke. In fact, as you can see on the screen, I included this specific item as number 6 on our list of crisp infrastructure priorities, signage near Farallon View Elementary. And there were also complaints from residents living on Sunshine Valley Parkway, about excessive traffic speeds. So we keep trying.
Who was speaking? Amy McVicker, is she with the school district or a parent?
I'm a principal at Farallon View Elementary School.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Sorry, I don't have kids, so I didn't know.
That's okay. No,
Okay.
Yes, thank you. I don't attend these meetings as often as perhaps I should, if we're being mentioned so frequently.
I thought maybe you were with Half Moon Bay and, I thought maybe they were going to get all the funding down there or something for safe routes to school. So it's good to know we're still on the map up here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. All right, do we have any other public comments on items not on the agenda today? Okay, great. Then let's move on to the consent agenda. Thank you, Scott, for putting together the financial report.
So there was some interest in pulling it so we can discuss it.
Okay.
Would you like to vote on it?
I move we pull the financial report from the agenda for discussion later in the meeting. Is there a second?
We don't have to vote on that.
Oh, we don't?
Yeah, you don't have to vote on that.
Thank
If
you.
wanna pull it,
Okay.
it's pulled. Okay, it's pulled. We will
So
pull that
yeah,
at the end.
we can potentially vote on it then, but there's some things I got to tell you.
Okay, great. We will talk about that at the end.
Okay.
All right, then on we go to the regular agenda. So first up is Farallon, and discussion of the lights. So Dan and Greg.
You want me to put this letter on the screen, Dan, or what do you want me to do?
Yeah, I guess, well, maybe not this moment.
Oh.
Maybe we could get started and just
Too
kind
late.
of have a conversation.
Too late.
And then just have it up,
Okay.
just so we can see faces better, I think. Yeah. Okay, so first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. The issue of the new brighter lights at Farallon View School. Certainly I want, I believe it's the interest of the whole community at the very end of the project. That the whole project, I guess we're just finishing the first phase, and so there'll be a second phase. So when the complete project is done, that it blends into the environment as best as all possible. It's this, I think that's in alignment with the spirit of the coastal zone, the Coastal Commission's wishes, whether it's California Coastal Commission or the San Mateo County local coastal program. you know, and that includes colors to blend in with the natural surroundings. I believe strongly that the outside of the building does not have to be as bright as the inside of the building. Once you leaving from the inside of the building and walking outside, you know, it just takes 5 seconds for your eyes to adjust. Having said that, of course, there needs to be some level of lighting for safety. And let's see, I see Roger there. Thank you, Roger, for coming.
Good evening, Pat.
Good evening. I'll also say I spoke with Amber, the school superintendent today. And then after I tried to reach out to Roger, but I was just spontaneous. I missed him. I talked to his assistant. So I thought maybe Roger, maybe
Yeah,
you could
sure.
kind of update us.
If you could clarify who's my assistant, because I don't recall
Oh,
anyone telling.
Julianne.
Oh, Jillian. Okay. All right. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I can start off with just a brief summary of the project and where we are with the lights, how we got there. Farallon Elementary School started construction last summer. Before that came about, obviously we went through a CEQA process and a CDP process, and both projects received notices of exemptions for both of those processes. And then from that point forward, things moved on. Like I said, we started construction last summer. In terms of lighting for the site, the engineers, and we've gone through this discussion, I know for El Granada, and we'll certainly get into that when the time comes, if it's not tonight. But and we certainly have a very focused effort on that project as well. But here at Farallon, the lighting designers have a responsibility for public safety to provide 1 foot candle per square foot for the path of travel, and that is a DSA requirement, and they follow that guideline to make sure that people on campus are safe and they can leave the campus safely, or even in the morning hours if there's a need for lighting. If it's dark, then it will be, you know, the lighting system can be programmed in such a way to come up to be turned on during those dark times. With that said, our lighting system is fully programmable. And moving on, we understand that when the lights were turned on, that it was definitely a major surprise for the neighborhood. So after getting a lot of feedback, we have turned off the parking lot lights, and we've turned off recently thereafter. We also turned off the building lights. I do want to emphasize that the lights are programmable. Our design team is currently looking at shielding lights and creating a schedule that will work for the campus and the community. They will remain off until the right time when they can be turned on. An example of what some of the things that the lighting designers have come up with is there's a potential to be able to program the lighting to be, this is the parking lot lighting specifically in this case, to be dimmed to 30% of its total illuminating ability, and so it could be dimmed that low, and then they also have the ability to have it activate on motion, which could become annoying too. But we're just wanted to share some of the possibilities that can occur there. Now, obviously, having motion out in that community could be quite annoying, but those are some of the things that can be done so that the lights can remain at 30% in the evening, and then say someone walks across the parking lot and needs more light, it can then be activated to a 80% factor so that there is more light, and it is more in line with what the design criteria basically mandates. And I think we need to be mindful of when the designers they have nothing but the instructors, the children, and the custodians' safety in mind when they have lighting in the buildings and on the walkways. That's their main concern. And of course, we have to certainly listen and figure out what will work with the community. But I think it's important that folks understand that when the lighting for the campus was designed, that was the primary focus is safety. And with now, if we have to adjust the lighting to be dim, whether it's changing the lamps out to a softer bulb or different Kelvin on the lighting, it's going to cost money. And so we're going to have to figure out what it is that will work and meet the community's needs as well as the campus's needs.
Could I interject a point of order here? Point of order. First, we need to have a motion on the table regarding this letter. Okay, so
Okay.
And then I make another point of order comment. So I move that we, what's the word? Adopt and send this letter. And we need a second.
Second.
We have a second. Okay, we'll vote on it after discussion. Now, in terms of the sequence of discussion, I'm going to suggest that we hear from people connected with the school district, including the principal, if she wishes to speak, Carleen, about safety issues before the council weighs in, and then the public. That's going to be my recommendation. Thank you.
I still have some questions for Roger.
Okay, but should we not first hear from Amy if she wants to?
Well, I didn't finish. I have some important questions for. So Roger, you mentioned, I guess you mentioned the state mandate, et cetera. I'd like if you could please share with us, that information, how it's all detailed, et cetera. It's my understanding that it's the IES International, let's see, Illuminating Society, I guess, which is, from my understanding, is basically the industry standard, and they have recommendations for the amount of light, depending on the lighting zone, kind of the default zone in the area. Now that zone is I would consider, I think they go from zone 0 to zone 4. I would say that zone should be either 0, 1, or 2, very low. I will say that I have a little light meter. I took a measurement under one of the lights in the eaves, and I think I read 60. It's a lux meter, so 60 lux, which was significantly higher than our street lights. So anyway, I would really like if you could do that for us, Roger. Could you share us the information that DSA is providing you as far as the level, the actual need, and how they define what is a safe level? Again, I want to reiterate, in no way do I believe that the light outside should be as bright as the light inside, because again, it just takes 5 seconds for your eyes to adjust, as long as you have, a certain reasonable amount of light, whether it's under the eaves or in the parking lot.
Okay. Well, I am not a lighting designer, so I have to dig that information up for you. But this is not the first time I've had this discussion, and I'll have to gather that information for you with what our designers worked with to create the lighting as that's in the path of travel. So I will provide that for you.
Okay, thank you, Roger.
Sure.
Amy, did you want to give us any perspective from your point of view?
Certainly. So, having worked at the site for several years now and having very minimal lighting, that was also not very helpful to go from that to these lights. I definitely understand it was a shock for me to see the photos initially because when we were starting to work at the beginning of the month, it was lighter, much later in the evening. So by the time I had left, I hadn't seen how bright they were at 10:30 at night when one of those photos was taken. So I thought, wow, we need a football team with lights like that. So yes, definitely an adjustment. But I was very glad that Vanner and Core Construction were very responsive to the concerns that I was hearing, and then of course from other areas as well, and worked on, yes, turning the lights off, dimming them to, as Roger mentioned, 30%, and then upon motion to a higher percentage. And they're continuing to work. We discuss it in our construction meeting once a week, and they're continuing to discuss options, as Roger mentioned. I will say that since I am usually the last person to turn off those lights if they're on, it is very, very dark in that parking lot. We have several PTO parents who are usually with me in the evenings. Late in the evening on those meetings, will ask, "Are you okay to go out on your own?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm good." But there is a concern about the parking lot being that dark. So I appreciate that we have the lights, and I look forward to definitely a sort of compromise, if you will, because I also, yes, we want to be good neighbors. So. And feel free to reach out to me directly with concerns, and I can, if that's, I've been there for a while now, so, I'm happy to hear any comments that the public has and try to work out any issues we may have.
So, thank you, Amy. So,
Well, if I could add, thank you, Amy, for clarifying those things. As Amy mentioned, the design team and construction team are constantly coming up with new just options that could work for this. And I mean, eventually we'll come to a solution that we feel could be shared with and tested in place, right? One evening to see if there is a substantial improvement. Once we know, once we decide to do some of these improvements, and once we feel that it's a acceptable solution, there could be a time when it's tested in place, and it's a coordinated test one evening, and see what kind of progress we're making with these adjustments. Because I do feel that it will take a bit of communication on both parts to get to a solution here.
awesome. Carlene, did you want to weigh in at all from your perspective before we open up for council questions?
No, I have nothing to say. Thanks.
Right. All right. So, questions, you want to lead the council?
I would like to offer some perspective on this. We've had a very good working relationship with Cabrillo over the last several years. And the El Granada lighting situation is another issue that's representative of this. I'm not the planning expert. Clearly, the Division of State Architects, or DSA, has jurisdiction over what goes on in the buildings. I'm less clear that they have jurisdiction over the surrounding infrastructure, including the parking lot. And I believe when planning was involved in El Granada, it was a separate permit for that, not so much.
If I may, Greg, actually DSA has full jurisdiction of the parking lots, then the path of travel is the parking lot as well. So there's definitely they have jurisdiction.
So the difference is that you got a coastal development permit exemption for for Farallone, and that's why we never saw the lighting plan or any of the stuff we did with El Granada. Is that the difference?
That could be this case, yes.
Okay.
I'm not sure why you didn't see it, but it didn't go through CDP, no.
Okay, and I don't recall the council ever seeing it. I'll defer to others. I did want to show this picture that I took on Sunday night at the bottom here about 9:30 in the evening. And so my question is, do we need lights on all night long when the school's not in use? I certainly understand having lighting while people are exiting and planned times of meetings being extended into the night. And I'm also curious about what kind of shielding can be done on those lights that are under the eaves. There's certainly blue light. So I welcome any feedback on that.
I can answer the light times question quickly based on operations and what seems to make most sense. And it would be dusk to either 8:30 or 9 p.m. And then we can time them out because the custodians leave at 8:30 or 9, and that's when it's most safe to shut it down. You can't have a custodian wandering around an unlit campus, right?
Understood.
For
But
his
this
safety.
was a weekend. This is a Sunday night.
Okay, and we could and we could look at weekends differently. They could be totally be different. That's a good point. Yes.
Okay, that's it for me.
Sorry.
Just add quick to just kind of interject.
Yes, we'll go Dan next and then Kimberly.
Well, just short, in December, January, the lights will probably be coming on like at 4:30, 5. I'm not certain, somewhere in that area. So the exposure to the community would be a lot longer. And so therefore it's really this reason why we should really look at a softer, a dimmer, a more amber color of light that is wildlife friendly and friendly, to the community and minimizes the health hazards that are associated with the blue rich light that we see here now.
Awesome. Kimberly and then Scott.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Roger, for coming and talking to us about this. I actually support the MCC's letter at this point, and I'm concerned that this is an educational issue because what I notice is contractors and people hired to do this work often aren't educated enough on dark skies, and they end up with light choices that might meet the needs that DSA has. Sorry, I'm having problems tonight speaking. But there are alternatives that they probably haven't looked at that also meet those safety needs that aren't so excessively intrusive. And what I would like to know is if the team that is working on this has actually talked with people at Dark Skies International to figure out alternatives and looked at other school districts that meet the safety need without having this. This is a small school. I don't expect to see a glow several blocks away that indicate like a football field. And I really prize the dark sky at night in that area. I often go on walks in the evening, and the light is something that impacts way beyond just the first few blocks of the neighborhood. So to me, that is excessive. And there are alternatives that would leave everyone on the campus just as safe. And I don't think that this is an issue of urbanizing. I think this is an educational issue that you just, people just don't know enough to know what the better alternatives are in this case, and put up something without thoroughly exploring how to do it the right way. And so that's kind of my feeling on this. And that's kind of sloppy. And I don't think you should use safety as an excuse, because there are plenty of safe sites that have adequate lighting that are not like this. So I don't mean to be harsh.
well,
And I apologize. With all due respect, though, I do think there needs to be exploration of something that meets the safety need that is different, and that those alternatives are out there. So thank you.
Okay, Scott?
So my only comment on this is when I was growing up, my mom always said, when you leave the room, turn the freaking lights off, okay? It's a waste of energy. If there's no one there at the school, the light should be off, right? So when the last person leaves, turn the lights off. And the sign doesn't need to be lit during the nighttime. It sounds expensive to me. So that's my only comment.
Well, I would just add, on behalf of Amy or anybody who's leaving late, maybe the switch should allow 5 minutes after the time you turn them off before they actually go off, so they have time to get to their car safely.
Yeah, there's details in this, but still, when there's nobody there, the lights should be off.
There is no switch. We program it, and we have to have it on a lighting program to meet our Title 24 requirements. And unfortunately, we can't rely on people to turn off switches because switches will be missed. So the lighting program does a sweep of the building and turns all the lights off at a certain time, or else there will be lights missed if we simply rely on the human, if on human, just there's a human factor to this. But I do want to say that, we could program the system to turn off anytime. And I have to be honest that we don't exactly want faculty turning off parking lot lights or other lights. That's a lot of responsibility. And those switches and controls are in a place that aren't easy for faculty to get to. We can program the system to turn off as soon as they need it. The campus needs to be shut down, and it can be turned off altogether on weekends if we need to. But I'm just going to be realistic with you. We cannot leave it up to faculty to turn off these lights.
Okay. Claire, did you have any? No? Okay. Do we have any other comments or questions for Carolyn, folks from the council? Nope. Okay, then let's go.
I'll have some after the, but I may have a comment after the.
Well, we're gonna have to take a vote, so yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
I see Deborah Larney's been had her hand up a long time.
Yes, let's go to Deborah first and then Sid.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Deborah. I live in Montara, and I live uphill from the school, as many other homes here are situated. The school is set low geographically to the rest of Montara, and the white reflective roof is as intrusive in some ways as the lights are, especially in the climate that we're in with the fog. Those lights hit the fog and they get bounced back then into the community. The other roofs on the school are all brown shingle, and you don't even see them when you're walking on the streets above the school, but the white reflective roof is just a huge white eyesore. So I'm wondering, what is that the final roof, and why was it white? And can it be changed so that it's more environmentally friendly? Yeah.
Thank you for that comment. Sid, do you want to give a comment?
Okay. Usually those white roofs are reflective for, I think they're supposed to keep the heat in, but I don't know. That's just, I read over that over the years. I'll let the architect or whoever the guy is. But I only want to say that I want to put a big plug in for amber lighting, because in the fog area that we live in, that is the best lighting at night. And I don't like bright blue light. It's glare, it's hard on the eyes. It obviously doesn't mesh with our environment at all. And as everyone else has said, it's bad for the animals, migrating animals especially, and humans don't like it. So please, if you're going to switch out the lighting, consider amber lighting that's better for fog situations, and it's better on the eyes. Thank you.
Thanks, Sue. Okay, any other public comments for the team? Oh, we've got one here in the audience. Go ahead and step up to the mic. Just introduce yourself and let us know where you're from.
I'm Ken Hibbets, and I live at the Alpaca Ranch, and we have been, I've lived in Montera since 1986. I've been your neighbor since, 30 plus years. And we've had a really good relationship with the school, and for many years. And we like to continue that. And I want to reach out to Ms. McVicker, because before there were lights on the eaves that were broadcasting up into our home. And I went down and I said, hey man, these lights are killing us. And the next day, the custodian went out and he adjusted the angle of the light to broadcast down on the track onto the parking lot, and it wasn't as bad. And so we have worked together on light in the past. And I have sent you several letters. I've sent the district several letters. And I sent you another letter today. The question came up and also thanks to the district and thanks to the school for turning off the lights completely. Okay. And thanks to Kimberly Hines and Amber, forgive me, Lee Alva, for your responsiveness. It's very important to us. So I want to thank you for that. And in the spirit of that cooperation, I'd like to ask you to really take a look at this. And to the gentleman presenting, forgive me, Roger, thank you for your input. But, you know, all this programming and stuff, and I mean, it's all really important, but, you know, we're having this discussion in arrears, and to fix this now, there's no money to fix it. The district has a lot of things that they have to spend money on, and this should have been addressed way before. I know that there's different notification criteria for different projects, but I saw one Zoom where they were going to do some work to the school, and the next thing I knew, the construction companies showed up and started working. I still don't know what the rest of the project is. And when they turned on the lights, I mean, I sent you the pictures, and I sent you another picture tonight to show you what the lighting's like with just the eave lights on. And I sent that to Kimberly and to Amber for your review. You know, I did write you a long letter today, but in the interest of time, I that can go into the record. There's a lot of questions that I have there, but to summarize, it's really this spirit of cooperation that we have to maintain. And what I don't want to happen is for it to drift and you to forget about us. And then at 9:30 at night or 10 o'clock or 8:30, I mean, at 8:30, okay, it's, you don't need those lights on the poles over the parking lot on. The eave lights, if you look at the picture I sent you, they light up the whole parking lot. They light up my living room, okay? They light up the whole place. So I asked you in my letter, could you even adjust those lights? Maybe have fewer of them on, maybe adjust the intensity of them. But I can assure you that to your point, Ms. McVicker, about being safe, I understand that. I understand that there are times when you're having events where you have to have the lights on. I'm perfectly fine with that. And everybody should be, because we need to be safe and people need to get to their cars and, you know, be careful and all those sorts of things. And there are times during the year when it gets dark very early. And we want the students, we're talking about safety around the streets and the stop signs and all this stuff. I understand the importance of that. And there are times during the year where they're going to have to be on, but there are also times when they just don't need to be on. And I'm here to tell you, even just when you turned off everything, and I want to thank you, it went in steps. They dimmed a little bit, and then they went off. Then you went to the eaves, and then they went off, and then the sign was on. Believe it or not, the sign is bright too. And then everything's been off. Okay, personally, everything off is fine with me. I think the rest of the neighborhood likes that. But just to summarize, I really want to thank you for your efforts. And I just don't want it to get lost in the shuffle. And I also wonder about if there's certain hours that we could really agree to. There are going to be times when that's not going to be appropriate because there's going to be an event and you're going to exceed that and so forth. But to the point of the plans, the only other thing is I don't really know where to see this information. And I don't think a lot of the public knows where they can view the project, because when the project started, we thought you were working on the inside, and then you start working on the outside, and we're like, well, whoa, what's that going to be? And, we went to this district site and we really couldn't figure out what was what because we couldn't read the plans. So I would encourage you to up your communication game with the community. Okay.
The district has monthly board meetings, and we report on the projects in those meetings, and so there's always updates, and I mean that's where those have taken place. Last month, for instance,
my kids are 25 and 27. So
okay.
I don't attend those meetings. I apologize. Maybe I should.
Okay. Well,
I'm an old guy. Okay.
I'm not sure where else you would see it.
What's that?
I'm not sure where else you would see it.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. To your point, that's an issue. Okay. It's an issue that the project starts and nobody knows it's going to start. Okay. So I'm off into the politics here, but that's just, you really need to work at trying to make the community aware of the project, what the scope is, because I didn't know these lights were going to be there. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't even know you were going to work on the school. Now, I will say this. Congratulations to you for doing a beautiful job. With the exception of maybe the white roof, it's beautiful. Okay, the project has turned out really beautiful, with the exception of the lighting. Okay, I mean the colors you chose, with the exception of the roof, are nice, and the design and things look really great. So I want to commend you on that because you've done a great job. But this lighting thing is a real issue for us, and there's a lot of people that it affects. And I would encourage you that if you want to get more information, is as you start to test it, you talked about running some different scenarios and stuff. You got to go out there at night. You got to go out there and turn them off and then turn them on. You also need to go in different types of weather to see what the fog does to it. And you have to be thorough, and you have to be sensitive to the needs of the community and the wildlife and the livestock. And there's no reason for those lights to be on past a certain period of time. And I respect the needs of your staff, visitors, and custodians to be able to leave the district property safely. But I just want to encourage you to keep the dialogue open, please. Keep the communication open, and let's find a solution that works, because I do think there's a solution that works. And to some of the other points that were raised tonight, I mean, the intensity of these lights is extremely bright. I mean, if we can dim them or come up with schemes with your computer systems here, Roger, that might make things work for everyone, I'd really appreciate it. And I did send a letter. I'm happy to provide that to the MCC.
Well, I saw it. Yeah. And I did. I would like to ask you or anyone else in the neighborhood to for that perspective of when we do, someone to reach out to when we say, hey, we think we have a good solution. Can we test it? I think, I mean, we'll test it. We'll test it all night, but it doesn't matter what we think. It matters what the neighbors think. Because
for me, I don't have any screen at all. I mean, there's nothing between me and you. I mean, nothing. Lights are right even with my kitchen. I mean, much, and we're a backyard area. But look, hey, everybody's busy. So thank you for your time. But once again, I want to reach out to the staff at the school and thank you for the years of really good cooperation that we've had. And I want to maintain that. And I know that most of Montera feels that way. We love having the school there, and we think it's an asset to the community. And we want to work together to make it a positive solution. So if you would please, Kimberly Hines and Miss Lee Alva could forward the letter I sent today along to the district, as well as to the MCC, and then also the photo that shows I mean, you've seen the first photos. Some of those photos were taken from inside my living room, okay? Some of them were taken from the outside. And then the one I sent today just was with the eave lights on. And my recommendation is that for the custodians leaving, that the eave lights are going to be sufficient. Maybe for the staff leaving during the day when it's dark in the winter, maybe you want the full lights on, but that's a relatively early period of the day. And when you have your events, you have to have your events and keep the people safe. So I get it. So thanks very much. Thanks for letting me talk over the allotted time. And thanks for the work that you do for the students.
Thank you. Let's go Rob next and then Steve.
Hello, this is Rob. I live in the neighborhood and I've been down to see the lights. I request that shields be installed on all the lights, including the under eave lights, to keep all direct lighting on the school property. That would be below the sidewalk level along LeConte. Currently, the under eave light bulbs can be seen directly, the bulbs, while standing on the sidewalk. And because of this concern of mine, I think number 5 on the proposed letter, I would question, where it says shielding fixtures which broadcast light off property may become less of a need. I don't agree. I think there will always be a need, and I think that's a really important issue. That light scatters in the fog. Anything that can be brought down should be, so it's not broadcasting up into the street. And as a part of that, I don't quite follow the blue at the end of the letter where somebody says there's no lighting pollution beyond the property. I don't get that at all. I've seen it. Another item, the school sign is actually now the biggest light there when you turn things off. So those bulbs need to be shielded, redirected, turned off, whatever it takes. That's intense lighting, again, hitting the street, and you can actually see that reflected light from a couple blocks away.
Okay, thank you. We'll do so.
And I can personally attest that even the pre-existing under eave lights around the north building, which I don't think you've worked on, create a very significant scattered light glow in the fog. It's huge. You can see it blocks away. So the fog really magnifies the light. So the more it can be directed down and shielded, the better. I think the parking light poles are way too tall for this location. And they should be brought down. Suggestion, perhaps an override timer on only for the parking lot for late departures. You know, that maybe something like that could be added where a person can't turn the lights off, but have a 5-minute timer that can turn them on only in just particular circuits that would give the security, so that that might help you feel more comfortable turning them off, and somebody who's in the building can get out. And one last thing, the whole thing seems odd that the Farallon lighting issue wasn't brought up to the community after the El Granada issue. That seems very odd from kind of a project management, community engagement concept. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Did you want to?
Yeah, just point of information. The blue in the letter are copies of emails received in exchange with Sean McFetteridge, the prior superintendent.
Cool. Thank you. All right, let's go to Steve.
Yeah, hello. I'm on a phone. So I'm not sure. Can you hear me okay?
Yes,
Yep.
we can hear it.
We're good.
Thank you. Yeah. So my name is Steve Terry. I live in El Granada, about a block from El Granada Elementary School. We have put 3 kids through the school district from kindergarten all the way up through the high school, and we really have enjoyed the school and the system in general, and have been largely pretty happy. In general, the school has been very responsive to things broad and large. This is another issue really that is kind of hoping that school will respond, the district will respond to the community concern. I'm opposed to the existing lighting that's there now also, like the other speakers. And clearly this is a failed lighting design and a failed implementation as measured by all the concern raised by the community. And I think the speaker that was there, I guess, Roger, sort of identified in some sense identified the problem in that the lighting was designed for children and custodians. And that's the failure right there. Not that those aren't two important concerns for the lighting design, but there were not other concerns included with that. So the community was apparently left out of that group of concerns. And so I think that's where the failure came in. And so to address this failure, as we're all talking about, all the suggestions we're talking about, regardless of what we do, there's going to be a cost. If we do nothing, there's a cost. If we do plan A, there's a cost. Plan B is a cost. Plan C is a cost. Doing nothing is still a cost, but the cost is borne by the community. And you had mentioned that there will be a cost, I think, Roger, but yes, but I think the cost should not be borne by the community. The cost, that's not the community's burden to absorb that cost. So the plan we have should address the concerns of the community and make it so the community is not burdened. Now, the last speaker, I'll save a lot of my talking because the last speaker, I guess, Rob, said just about everything I want to say, beautiful comments. But the one point I want to emphasize is the shielding. And you definitely, as a standard of performance, you definitely want to make sure that any light is shielded such that no direct light shines off the property. That's the standard that was applied for, like, the fire station, for example. No direct light shining off the property was stuck into the conditions of approval. And I think that should be something to live by. So like Rob was saying, when you're staying on the sidewalk, you cannot see a direct bulb at all. And that's easily done, easily checked by you put a shield on there and you stand around the property, you don't see any direct lighting. But then it seems like with the fog, folks are saying that there's extra concern about scattering light. So I recognize that also. So those are the things I want to say. Thank you very much for coming and listening to us. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Steve. I see Michelle and Alec.
Hi, this is Alec Hogg. Thanks for letting me ask a quick question. Outside of the Fairlawn View lighting, I haven't seen any updates. It's been mentioned a few times on the El Granada lighting.
Yeah, it's going through a CDP, and so that is a secondary CDP. A second CDP for that project is being submitted just for lighting. The whole project almost did not go through because of the lighting, and then we split the project up into two CDPs. So that second CDP is going to start. We're starting to submit forms for it now, and that lighting will definitely be addressed. There's parking lot lights that were originally proposed there, and we're going through a redesign of that. And that will certainly go through a community process, and there'll be a meeting with the community where the MCC will be involved and there'll be input on it.
Okay.
We'll share the design at that time as well.
Thank you, Roger. It struck me that, like we're saying for Fairlawn, after the fact, it's hard to change things. And I know
Fairlawn went through the process that team knew of. Unfortunately, there was another project manager that's no longer with the district that didn't understand the process, and our architect went through the CDP as well as the CEQA process, and that was what they knew they had to go through at the time. And they did not know more, that there was more to do at that time. But I think everybody's made their comments on how this has not been a good quality installation, and the input wasn't where it needed to be. I think I thoroughly understand where everybody's coming from. So yes, and that's certainly going to be rectified in El Granada.
Okay, well, thank you for both responding to my question, and I know their feedback was to split it into two. So thank you for making it happen, and we look forward to seeing the public process of that and feedback. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Alec. Okay, any other public comments? Nope. Okay, Greg and Dan,
public comments?
So closing public comments. Greg and Dan, you want to wrap up our?
Well, where we
discussion?
stand is we have a letter on the table. I understand that as has been our history, Cabrillo is going to work with us on this, but I think we should still send the letter and let them respond as they see fit. And, we'll entertain experimentations and adjustments and comment on them as they are willing to make them. That'd be my recommendation, is to move forward with the letter.
Okay.
Is that a motion?
We already voted. Motions on.
We already-
Motions.
we already
So-
took the
so-
motion.
so, yeah, so now we're doing a discussion on it, just, are there any?
This is council discussion.
Yes, council discussion of the letter. So let's start with Claire and then Dan.
Okay. I think the letter's fine with the exception of the blue part. I think that's highly inappropriate. One of the things that I think is just bad practice is publishing other people's emails without their consent. I think we could pretty much summarize what's in there without quoting it. It's a distraction from the rest of the letter, in my opinion.
If I could comment, we did receive permission and were sent this email by the member of the public who exchanged it with Sean. That's why.
I have seen so many bad things happen when people say, here's an email I got from so-and-so and here's and it gets published and it's out of context and I just don't like it. I think it's poor form.
Do we have Sean's permission to put it?
He's not here anymore.
Well, I know he's not here anymore, but I mean, we could reach out to him.
It's a public. He's a public.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it is a public.
Official.
But I don't want things that I write being put in letters and sent to people.
There's made a point.
Okay, all right, so.
That's just my opinion.
Fair enough. Do we have any other comments about Dan?
I just want to summarize just some real quick, hopefully just real quick responses on the issue. Roger, I'm assuming you have read the letter. I just wanted to, from your words tonight, it sounded like, yes, it is possible to have the heads changed to wildlife friendly. It'll cost money, correct?
Yes.
Number two, as far as lowering the pole height, they can be cut, drilled, new cap put on, and then lowered. It's
Not likely. Not likely. No, not likely. Well, there's
blessed by the engineer as
there's
far
ways
as
to do that with lamps and other methods, but not likely that will lower the poles. We can shield things, but to the extent of lowering the poles, that's a whole other level of costs.
well, I think what's important is the least amount of light that we can all agree on, as long as it reaches the areas that are needed, and that can be achieved with a lower light pole. Like you just said, it's another level of expense. So I just want to hear, it can be done, but it's another level of expense as long as you still get your light spread. And that will be up to the engineers. Is that fair?
I'm not agreeing to lowering the poles. It's not my call. And there can be a level of assessment. I'm not saying we can or can't do that. I don't know. I don't know yet.
And the white roof, I'm asking for your professional opinion.
Yeah.
I'm thinking a way to alleviate that might be to sprinkle 50% brown pea gravel over it to kind of soften it up, possibly a rolled color. Have you looked into this at all to solve that issue?
No. But as someone said earlier, that color is selected to help with energy efficiency, and it does reflect the heat. It's a kind of a Title 24 option.
In reality, we're not in Sacramento or Florida.
It does help with efficiency in the buildings. That's why the white roof was selected.
One of the other community members, everything costs something in a certain way. So we'll relook at that. As far as shielding, shielding the necessary lights that are shining off the property.
Yeah, it's being looked at. It's being looked at. Yeah.
Okay. And then the last thing I have is just want to, is it true that the perimeter fencing, whatever fencing is associated with this project, is that still in design? Because we've been asking for information on that for quite some time. I see you have fencing up close to the building. Hopefully that'll be it.
That's it. All the fencing for
It's
the
done.
is complete right now. Yes.
Okay.
There's some security fencing that's going in at the main entry to the campus. They might be just about wrapped up to that, but that's right at the entryway between building A and B. But there, as far as perimeter fencing goes, it's all in place right now.
Okay, so it's the existing cyclone fence that is the perimeter.
Correct. It's all in place.
Okay.
No
And we'll
more will
relook
be
at,
added.
not tonight, but we'll relook at El Granada when the time is appropriate.
Sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
So I got a lot of my questions clarified, I guess.
Great.
I just want a point of order. Claire, did you want to introduce an amendment then to strike everything from the words bold emphasis added through all the blue text in the letter? Is that your proposal?
That I would be okay with that. I don't know if there's anything in that blue that you want to summarize separately or not.
I just read the summary and it says the conditions described in these emails were not adhered to at Farallon View as evidenced by recent photographs. And
So it would need to be slightly revised.
no, I don't think so. I think we just say
Okay.
the condition, well, maybe we could say the conditions described in emails between the superintendent and residents.
Okay.
All
That'd
right.
be okay.
All right. So did you want to make a motion on that amendment?
Yeah, I would move to strike the quotations, the inclusion of email content and replace that subsequent sentence as Greg just stated.
I second the motion.
Okay, great.
Just to be clear, so knowing that it's from a public official, it's public record.
It's
I mean, it's not like it's a parent email, it's superintendent's email.
yes, but it's not him making an official statement. It's him talking to Greg or somebody else about what's going on. And he might be saying something else on a different day. It's not meant in my. I don't know about him. I can't read his mind because he's not here. Maybe if he was, I couldn't read his mind. But in general, my feeling is that what people put into emails fit a particular situation that they're addressing at that time, and it may not be what they would like to have memorialized in future correspondence that they're not involved in. It's just my.
I think they're paid very well to know what to write and what not to write. That's my opinion.
And if you publish something that they wrote and maybe didn't really mean to write or meant to take it back or whatever, I mean, there might be subsequent emails. I've seen instances at the MCC where we've gotten emails from people and they've been memorialized in letters and in documents. And then we've got subsequent emails from, these are public officials saying, no, what I actually meant was such and such, and that part doesn't get included. And I just think that leaving things in context is better.
I think it stems from the problem that there was not a public meeting on this, that's so based that there was no public meeting to have this discussion, one community member asking the superintendent directly, this is the response.
Point of information.
We can vote on the amendment, and if the amendment passes, then we can have a vote on the amendment letter, and if the amendment fails, then we can have a vote on the letter without the letter as it currently exists.
Well, point of information, Sean did come and present to us in April 2023, remodeling plans for both facilities, but there was no lighting plan included.
And we asked for it.
Okay, so this seems like we're not 100% necessarily in agreement on the amendment. Let's have the vote on the.
Well, ask Scott,
amendment,
you
unless
want
there's
to
any
make
other
comments?
you want to.
I just want to vote. I want to vote on it.
Okay.
I mean, we have a letter that exists now. We have Claire's comments that change the letter, and we're going to either say, we can either vote on changing it or not.
So
Right,
we're voting on the amendment, right?
Let's vote on the amendment.
Can't you just ask him if you could use his letter?
No.
Not right this second.
Oh, no, I know, but come back to it. I don't know. Sorry.
We
Kimberly,
probably
you wanna
should
call the
have
roll?
done that before this moment, honestly, Roger, but.
Okay,
we-
sorry.
This is where we are.
Yeah,
Um,
I got you.
We asked the MCC attorney, it's present. Oh, no, sorry, not present.
I'm a doctor, I can do that.
Yes, they're a lawyer in the house.
I'm a lawyer.
All right, okay, do we have any public comment on this? Like, because now that we've sort of support the amendment, I have to call for public comment on the amendment.
And you're specifically saying removing
What the amendment is to remove all the blue stuff and
Yes.
replace it with the revised sentence that Greg. That's right.
What was the revised sentence? I missed that.
Can we replay the recording?
Instead of referring to that specific email as something like.
Yeah.
In
Summarize.
emails between Superintendent McFedridge and members of the community.
Community, that's it.
Summarize.
Yeah.
That was it.
The
I just
conditions
did.
described in
Oh,
emails
okay.
exchanged between the community and.
Okay, that's fine. I'm fine with that.
Okay, fair. Awesome. Okay, so. Any public comment on it? No, going once, going twice? Great, awesome. Then Kimberly, do you want to call the roll for on the amendment to the letter?
Sure. So this is for the amendment only.
Mhm.
Greg?
No.
Okay. Greg, no. Scott?
yes.
Dan?
No.
Claire?
Yes.
Kimberly is a yes. Gus?
Yes.
So 4 yes, 2 no's. So I
So now
think
we
that
vote.
means it passes.
Vote on the survival.
Yeah, so now we have an amended letter. With Greg's revised language. Any additional public comment on that? Going once, going twice? No, great, awesome. Kimberly, do the roll for the amended letter.
I'm sorry, I missed something because did the council, we didn't really as a council discuss the letter?
Although we just did.
We did for the last 20 minutes.
We'll give,
Did
she's
you
asking for, before we
Well,
vote.
no, we discussed the language that Claire brought up. That was the first council comment, but we didn't do anything beyond that. So we're all good with that?
Well, we had to, Greg made some, then Dan did some stuff like. Huh?
Okay, I had some comments, but I'll withdraw them.
No, go ahead and do the comments. We haven't done the, yet, so go ahead.
I'm okay with going forward. I just want to understand the process. So once we approve or not this letter, then we can make any final comments?
No.
No.
Okay.
Not on the letter, but you can make all the comments you want.
Extinguished that doesn't count.
The item may come
Not
up.
on the letter, but just on this issue.
I mean, if you have comments on the issue, I think you should probably do them now.
It may come up for further discussion, other agenda item in the future. It's
Yeah,
possible.
after we see what their response is and other items.
But it sounds like Kimberly has some comments we'd like to make now.
Okay,
so
And
we
if
should
she
do that now.
does, she
Let her do it.
should.
Well, after listening, I do want to make some comments. After listening to the comments from the community, I'm very concerned. And I do appreciate that you came here to talk to us, Roger, and I mean no disrespect at all. But I am very concerned that you seem very dug in and unwilling to explore alternatives. And I would really like to hear that you're willing to work with the community to make this project a better project. And my understanding, quite frankly, according to the science, is that blue light is damaging to human retinal cells, especially if you're exposed to it over and over, not just from computers, but from lighting from other light sources. And so your safety point about lighting for children, I think, falls a little flat. I really want to hear more science in
Yeah, and you will. I'll dig that up. I just just want to be clear. I'm not dug in. I'm simply just explaining how we got where we are. I'm not saying we won't I've been saying from the beginning of this meeting that we will work with finding some solutions. So that by all means that will happen. And what keeps in the back of my mind, I need some, Dan, I think you mentioned something about some lighting zone criteria. I need something a little more tangible to work with the design team so they can get to that point of what's needed in this lighting zone, so that we could give them exact the amber lamps, certain Kelvin, just give them something a little more to work with. And if you can provide me with a document that shows that, I did hear you say lighting zone 01, and so I can work with that, but I would love to get some more info from you if you have it. And then the other part is I would love to be able to get some feedback from the neighborhood as we go. We will be ready to test some new things, some new lighting options, and we may want to reach out and say, hey, that we're trying this tonight. Can we get some feedback from you? And that would be really helpful, just to make sure that we are going down a path that you are happy with.
I appreciate that, and I
Yeah.
think it is not unreasonable to ask that no light leave the property. So, cost, I understand, is an issue, but maybe there are creative ways that, the school district can partner with other entities to raise funds to help with this. I think the community really thinks this is an important issue and would be willing to help with that if possible, although I'm not sure the community, as one commenter said, should bear the burden of this, but there are creative ways, hopefully, that you could find the funds to correct it. So thank you. Those are my comments.
Okay.
Time for vote?
All right, and it's time to vote on the amended letter.
Okay. Greg,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Kimberly is a yes. Gus
Yes.
passes unanimously.
Great. Awesome. Roger, Amy, Kim, I really appreciate everybody being here. Carlene, everybody being here, and kind of, really talking through what is obviously, like a complicated and emotionally resonant issue for the whole community. So really appreciate you hanging in there and talking through it all with us.
Dan, what is the criteria that we're supposed to follow on this lighting? Is there a certain design criteria?
You're gonna tell me what DSA
Yes.
is saying, and I will get you
Okay.
some information that I have about IES's recommended levels of light. I will get that to you.
Okay.
Have to dig it up. Give me a few days.
Okay, and I'll do the same. I'll dig up the stuff
By Monday or Tuesday.
Sounds good.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you all.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Roger.
Bye. Okay. Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Okay. On we go to GGNRA. Lighting was our warm up for GGNRA.
Yeah, that would be me. I am with my suggestion that we document the concerns we expressed to the National Park Service last week. Certainly the minutes might have contained something, but this is a targeted letter to the issues that the community expressed. So I reviewed the transcripts, the chat log, and I also had a couple of people in the community look this over to see if I captured their concerns properly. And so I wrote this letter. So I move that we send this letter to the people addressed with one potential revision, which is members of the Coastal Commission. Okay, and I'll describe why shortly, but I move that this letter be sent. Do I have a second?
So I'll second that.
Okay.
Great. So now we can open it to council discussion. So do we have council comments
Could
on this letter.
can I be first? Because
And yes, you can be first.
there's a change and I want to share my screen if I haven't already. So since I drafted this letter, I spoke to the ever helpful Lisa Ketchum. And she gave me some guidelines and thoughts. In particular, the question was requesting involvement of a San Mateo County planner. And there's some issues there. I'll skip the details, but she brought it up at this morning's Planning Commission meeting with Steve Monowitz and sent me a link to the video, which I was unable to watch before this meeting, containing Steve's reply. But the bottom line is he indicated that he will be the person that should be engaged initially on this because there is no project yet defined. They're not asking for a permit yet. And so with the understanding that we don't yet have that, I propose to change this sentence, and I hope you can see it here on the screen, and strike out what I had said about involvement and just merely ask, we request that the National Park Service create a task list for the design review process in collaboration with the Coastal Commission, San Mateo County Planning, the MCC, Montero Water and Sanitary District, and Half Moon Bay of Pacific.
Where are you?
I'm on item 10. Is it on the screen? It's on the screen. I'm on item 10 on the letter. What I was advised is that yes, the California Coastal Act does apply and the Coastal Commission will be involved. But I haven't heard Monowitz's comments. So I changed item 10. So with that, that's in the letter now.
Okay, so. All right, so we would be voting on this amended letter with that.
Well, this is the letter presented to the
Okay.
council. Right.
Okay, so that, okay. Great. Do we have other comments from the council on this letter? Before I open it up to public comments. Anyone? I think
It's awfully long. I wish it wasn't this long, but it's okay.
I mean, it was a long discussion. Kimberly?
It is a little long, but I think it's a very good letter. There was one point that I was a little uncomfortable with. I think it's item number 6, camping is to be prevented. The wording is a little troubling to me. And I just wonder if we could say that camping should not be included.
Camping should not be authorized?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Either of those is better than, I'm not sure what you meant by prevented.
I move we edit this letter to say camping should not be authorized.
Okay, so there's been an amendment proposed to edit that.
I'll second that.
Okay, great.
And I'm typing it in now.
Objections to that amendment? I'm fine with it. You're fine with it? Okay, I hear no objections, then we will plan to vote on that amended letter on the set earlier. Objections.
We're
Do we
voting
have
on the
any
amendment.
other-
We're voting on the amendment, but unless she has other comments.
Other comments, Kimberly?
No other comments. I think it's a very good letter and I really appreciate you drafting it. Thanks, Greg.
Okay, then if we have no other council comments, then I will open it to public comments. Any
Public comments on the amendment.
on the amended letter?
Did we move to amend the letter?
Yeah, there was yeah, you made.
I seconded. Okay, we haven't voted on the amendment.
No, but I think we can vote on the amended letter if, unless there's a need to, I mean, with the other one, we had to have a separate vote because it wasn't clear that there was unanimity.
It's a minor change.
Minor change.
Okay, so anyway, public comments on the letter. Do we have any? Going once, going twice. Okay, a very uncontroversial letter. Then let's vote on it.
So we're voting on the complete letter with the amended section.
Yes, with the amended section, the amendments to 6 and 10 there.
Okay, Greg,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Kimberly is a yes, and Gus.
Yes.
Letter passes.
That was such a beautifully swift discussion.
That was amazing.
I love everything about that discussion.
We are an hour and 10 minutes ahead of schedule.
I'll weep like a 10-year-old girl. All right. Let's go.
Let's go to the. We did pull the,
Yes.
for consent agenda.
Yes,
Okay.
we pulled that. So now let's have the discussion about
Okay,
the financial.
so, I've been in contact with, I'll tell you who, Connie Juarez in the county.
Yes.
Okay. And I've talked to her quite a few times about what is necessary and what we need to supply for financial report. And the financial report the last one that I finished after I came back from the hospital, my wife, just throwing that in there on the other side because we don't have a hospital here.
You mean we don't have urgent care here on?
Because we don't have urgent care. I'm using that as my excuse. That's pretty bad, but I'm going to. I finished the financial report. I talked to Connie about it and she says it looks great. I added the receipts that back up all our expenses on this. So, and there's some misspelling and I apologize for that to some degree, but we can fix that. Now, what I really wanted to talk to you about is the future. So we have a certain amount of money saved in our account. And that's our money. We spend it as a council. We vote on expenditures and we pass them. And that's the way we do business with our money that we have right now. That's ours. Okay. And I think we can just let that die. Going forward, there's going to be some changes. So the first thing, and I want to let you know that, so when we opened this bank account, we used a tax ID number. And Connie wanted to know what that number was. And I have that information. I gave it to her. And her concerns were passed to her from the controller. They had some concerns. Chiefly, it's not a good accounting practice. And there's a possibility of overdrafts and bounce checks. So that's their reasoning. Instead, and it's not just to our group, it's all groups like us. Mm-hmm. They've been instructed to make arrangements to pay our expenses directly. And they want us to so let me just back up. So if the account was opened using the county's ID number, which has been the case to some other groups, the controller has instructed us to direct these groups to close the accounts. Okay.
That's not us, though, right?
Correct.
That is us.
It is
Well,
us.
I talked to Connie today, I gave her the number. She's going to get back to me and say, if this number is not a good number that we open this account with, I am going to, with my other member of the financial committee, out there so that everybody can see what's happening. I'm going to close one account and open another account without a tax ID, so that we can continue to manage our funds that we have collected, which is our money.
We have a tax ID number?
We do have a tax ID number. It was opened, the account was opened using a tax ID number.
But one she doesn't like.
Well, she'll get back to me and say if she likes it or
Okay.
not. So we'll know that. And if they don't like it, due to what I've been trying to explain to you, we're gonna have to go in there, close the account. That means somebody's gonna have this money and put it into another account, which kind of makes me nervous. So I don't want to do it by myself. Okay.
Well, but you should be able to do a transfer with the bank.
Right.
From account A to B,
Yeah.
so that you never have custody of the money.
As long as everybody sees what happened and it went into there and I show you that's my now, as I had mentioned, the controller has been instructed, they want to pay the MCC's expenses directly, like Zoom and websites and email and cloud storage and all that stuff. But there might be other expenses we have. So she asked me to send her the financial report and what we have. And I sent her a draft of it, say, hey, can you look at this and see if this will pass what you're asking for? And she said, it looks great. Everything looks fine. So I will send her a non-draft copy whenever we approve it.
We also have a budget
you could send her that.
And so I brought this up very loosely at the last meeting. It would be nice if we had a budget. If we have future expenses we'd like to spend money on, we'll ask them to fund these things in the future, okay? So, and I said to her, I said, listen, I know I'm gonna get some pushback from this and everyone's gonna yell at me, but I'm just the messenger. This is just the way the county is moving forward. They're not pointing a finger at anybody, but the controller wants to control. That's his job. So let me see if I've missed anything.
They're tightening everybody's leash.
They're tightening the leashes. It's not a bad thing. It's just, so I said to her, like, are you gonna supply us with a credit card to do these things? She goes, no, I will pay them directly. I will pay the MailChimp.
That's not gonna work out.
Again, I mean, yes, I agree with you. I agree with you, but I don't know for sure, but we have to try. And it might be great, but it might be not great. So until we try, we don't know the answer to that. I said, hey, listen, are you gonna give us a credit card? Are you gonna give us an expense account? How is this gonna work? They don't have the details on that yet. So I'm waiting for more details. There's no work instruction on how to execute payment of finances. But I told her I will meet you in person and we will work this out so it works for everyone. And so that's where it stands right now.
You know, part of the reason we have so much money is because part of it is because we haven't really thought very hard, but part of it is because we have traditionally put large amounts of money into things that we've saved up for.
I told her that.
She doesn't care.
She said, if you would like to fund an event, tell us what it would require and we'll probably fund it for you. So I'm using the word event. Because I don't have it anything
Project
else.
of some sort.
Project of some sort that will require a spot to be paid for, food to be paid for, anything else that would go into this, we would submit for that. We would approve it here and ask them for the money.
So Dan, if Dan's gonna bring donuts to the next meeting.
Yes.
He could go to Dunkin' Donuts and say, how much will this cost, and submit it to the county, and then they will send him some money and he can go buy those.
That's why I asked, will there be a credit card? How will there be petty cash? How will these small unpredicted expenses be paid for? And she did not have an answer to that, but if we work together, I think we should be able to get something that will work for us.
Well, bless you.
Okay. I have to be as positive as possible.
Okay.
It does work.
We have some.
We have some. Oh my God.
Go to Kimberly and then.
Elise. I'll let Lisa go first because I think she has something important to say. So
Go for it, Lisa.
On the Finance Committee webpage, on the Midcoast Council website, the entire history of this issue is there. And if you're talking to somebody at the county who's not aware of that history, you can just point them to that page and
I don't think they care about it.
we've been through all this. Right at the top of the page, it says, because we used to use this process prior to 2012, and the county reimbursed per expenses, and at the end of the year, any money that wasn't spent was a loss to us. And so we didn't like that fact, and we didn't like anything about how it worked. And so they gave us permission to do the way we've been doing it since 2012. And all that history, like I say, is on the page. And the question to the person in charge at the county was, any fund balance established at the end of the fiscal year may be used for the general welfare of the community. And to do that, and there was one time when we spent $5,000 promoting roundabouts and getting an expert to submit materials on that. So, I mean, if you didn't live through the former method and you're not aware of the battle we fought to get this change, to get the current situation, then I offered to help, to fill this in with the county people as to why this why this method is best for the MCC, for the Midcoast.
I mean, and if that's something you want to do, I would call her and say, listen, do you want to meet and talk about this? I mean, we could do that.
Juan Ragosa is gonna make that decision. He's like, it's a different controller than it was at the time that decision was made. And like my understanding, just talking to Ray about it, is that I just don't think he wants to do it that way.
And so, and I agree with you with that, because that's the feedback I got, but I believe that we had an advocate over there that made this
I
happen.
still have a question.
Okay.
Yes.
We don't have an advocate over there anymore. The controller is not advocating for us to do the old method.
Right. Yes. Okay.
Go ahead, Kimberly.
So be that as it may, there's two things here. The tax ID issue, I don't really understand at all, because most entities, especially nonprofits, have to have a tax ID. That is what ensures that, if they're tax exempt, that they have that to cover their tax exemption. So I don't understand why we wouldn't have a tax ID. That makes no sense to me.
Here's why. Because it's the county's tax ID number. If we want to somehow get our own tax ID number, that'd be great. We can open up a new account with a brand new number. I have no idea how you would do that. Because we may be using the county's tax ID number.
Well, so who put the tax ID on here? 12 years ago, somebody gave us a tax ID.
Right.
You told us earlier that she's not certain at this point whether or not we have to change the tax ID, so we're going too far on that.
If it's the county's.
Yeah, let's just not discuss it any further until we know. Okay.
So we need to understand if our tax ID is specific to the MCC and not a county tax ID. That would be pretty easy to verify.
Theoretically.
Can you do it right now?
Yeah, online. Give me the tax ID number.
Can you do it? Yeah, go ahead, do that. If it's easy, let's
I
do
need
it.
a number. Is it on the treasurer's report?
No, it's not. It's on the bank statement. I don't have it right this second. I could ride my bike home and get it.
Why don't we stop discussing it for now then?
Okay.
Yes.
So the other thing I want to say is that I completely oppose this. I said this before, and I don't think we should give in to this. I think it makes no sense whatsoever. I think it's an attempt to sort of curtail the MCC in some ways. We have a very small budget, and the amount we've saved is very small compared to all other entities in the county. I don't know of one that exists that has smaller finances than we do. So I'm really concerned that I think we should push back on this.
So it's not like, okay, so they're just not giving us the money. That's,
Well,
they're not giving us the next 3,000?
I don't think that, have anybody?
No more money. No more.
Listen, there's not like pushing back. We have to go grab. It's not like we're fighting something. We have to go after something. Now, if we can, I don't know. I didn't think moving forward how we would fight this. I don't know how to do that. If
do
you
we
have
need
an
to
idea.
consult a separate lawyer?
We have $12,161 we can spend on
Pay
lawyers.
a lawyer with that.
Yes. I don't want to belittle this point of fighting back. I just don't know the way to do it at this time. Without an advocate on the inside.
This is completely unworkable.
Can I add some?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so I agree with Lisa and Kimberly. I think that I think probably what happened, people in the county change, they switch around over the years. And somebody in the county just, you may have mentioned his name tonight, just kind of had this idea or was looking at, hey, something's wrong. It's not matching today's rules, oh, we got to do it our way now. We got to change this. Well, come on, this is such a small budget, like, the donut story, or there have been things that kind of come up real fast that we gotta, we need to write a check for, pay for, and to be forced to go through, the county,
So,
on this thing. I just feel strongly.
So
that,
I asked her about that and
we should push back.
I agree with you.
So I don't know how.
In my discussion with her, and I fought back on this. She says, "Oh, if you have one of those, pay out of pocket and we'll reimburse you." Totally unacceptable, right? Pay out of pocket, we'll reimburse you. So if you want me to call her tomorrow, because she's open to talking.
Like, it's the comptroller is the one making that decision.
Should I push back to her?
Someone has a plan to change Wanderos's mind, then, okay, I'm open to what the strategy is.
Well, part of the strategy would be to find other organizations by the county and see what controls exist over them once they're given the money.
As I
And
understand it, this same.
This is across the board.
Out to
I would.
PMAC and
Oh, no, I'm talking about people like nonprofits who are given money. I would like to see what kind of citizens or county oversight exists on the distribution of money and the expenditure thereof in much larger amounts to other organizations.
Like the Opportunity Center or something like that.
Pick your cause.
Yes. Okay.
PMAC is the most comparable one, and they had set the example. When we switched in 2012, PMAC was able to bank their money. They didn't have to go through this step that they're trying to make you do now. And I don't think the controller gets to decide this. It was the county manager that was signing the letters previously, and ultimately, I would think it would be the supervisor. And so I'd like to know what PMAC is, whether they're trying to force this on PMAC now as well, and where they have their troubles. And also this bank number, because it was Len Erickson and I that did this process, and he probably opened the account. I don't think you've changed the account. I don't recall. They told us at the time when they said, okay, you can have this money up front. And we had a bank account at the time. It had several $100s in, and that was just money we got from the community or whatever, because the council didn't have this reliable fund. And they said, okay, if you want this $3,000 advance, you need to have that in a separate account. And so what we did was we spent that last few hundred. We opened this new account for this money, but I don't remember it being it had to be with a county number. I don't remember anything like that. Sorry.
Okay. Anyway. The thing we have to do right now is vote on whether this financial report is acceptable to turn in. Before we do that vote, we have to open it to public comment. I see Sid's hand is raised. So Sid, would you like to make a comment?
Yeah, I only was following along a little bit here, and it seems to me they're kind of giving you some grief. And you guys don't have anybody running for the Midcoast Community Council coming in to replace positions. I didn't pay attention to who's leaving or if anybody's leaving. But if it's going to be empty seats and nobody's running and all of that, you guys serve a good purpose. You keep the hair of Ray Mueller from being pestered by every single community member that has a gripe. So one strategy is, if they're going to mess with you, you could just have everybody call Ray, and close down the MCC if they don't want to fund you with this piddly amount, whatever it is. I don't know how much money that it seems to me it was only like $3,000 a year they were giving you before. So whatever it is, I wasn't listening too hard what they were quibbling over, but it's just like, it's so much work for you guys to do everything that you do. And they're giving you more like layer of financial work to do so they can keep their little paws in on it. It's ridiculous, I think. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm just getting, it seems like a grievance to me that they're trying to put all this extra work on you. Like you're not trying to be a grifter like somebody who wants to be a president again. So anyway, I would just say try to work it out with them. Lisa offered a good suggestion to go in and go to bat for you. I'd maybe get Len Erickson's take on it too and see what he might be able to offer you, and try to work it out. And maybe go ask Ray to go to bat for you too. But I mean, if it gets to push come to shove, just say forget it. Shut down the MCC if you all are not going to move forward. It sounds like nobody wants to do a thankless job, and don't make it more thankless. You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
Can I?
Thank you. Thank you, Sid. Yes,
You're welcome.
Dan.
I suggest, I think you're right. The order of business now is just to approve the financial report. There's nothing more attached at this moment to doing that. And then let's get further information that we were told we're gonna get, and then we'll revisit it once we have all the information. And maybe a few of us will talk between each other. We'll learn, whatever it is, the Brown Act, no more than 3 at a time. And we'll learn, and who knows, maybe, somebody has a friend that's a pretty good attorney that although I guess you gotta be, what is it? Attorneys can't give advice unless there are, so forget about that. Or maybe, yeah, I don't know. We'll figure something out.
Okay.
So if I could just, Marisol is still on this call, and Gus, you mentioned meeting with Ray. Is the supervisor driving this? Or, the supervisor should be on our side on this, and if he is not, then that's a problem.
He didn't seem particularly thrilled about it, but as near as I could tell from we didn't talk about it yesterday, but we talked about it 1 or 2 meetings ago when we were about to approve our, that formalized process, and then the process got yanked out, and he wasn't thrilled about that either, but he's like, it's like, it's the comptroller's office. I gotta, I can't tell the comptroller what to do. So,
Controller does not have more power than the supervisor. That makes no sense to me.
Well, within his bailiwick, I don't know that that's necessarily true, but yeah, I'm happy to talk with him about it again. Just be happy to meet with the comptroller and be like, here's, this is probably something you pay 0 attention to normally. Like, happy to just kind of make the case for why it should just be left the way that it is. I'm happy to do that. I have no ability to get a meeting with that guy. So
You want me to ask Connie to try to get us a
Sure.
meeting with the controller?
yeah.
Why don't we invite him to our next meeting?
Okay.
If
I don't,
maybe not the next, maybe not.
Even privately first.
okay.
Yeah, maybe not the next meeting.
Maybe we can
We
drag
got,
it.
we got, I think we have a little bit of time on this, a little bit, maybe not a lot.
I'm gonna act on it tomorrow. I'm gonna call her.
No, I'm just
tomorrow.
sorry about taking up the agenda item for the next meeting. That's what I'm talking about. We can get a conversation started, but I don't think we have to have it on the agenda next meeting, because there may be some other things.
No, I don't think anybody's talking about having it on the agenda. But yeah, why don't we reach out to
Yeah,
Connie and see if
Okay.
we can meet?
I'll call her tomorrow. And I'm not saying, I'll get closure on this week with that. If she doesn't have time to talk to me tomorrow, I will continue to pursue that.
Great.
And I'm not, okay, I will ask her for the meeting. I don't believe I'm the best advocate for this.
Lisa's got her hand up, maybe.
Okay, go ahead, Lisa.
I just want to point out that, yeah, you want to get your papers filed for this year and do everything like you're supposed to do, like we've been doing, but you got plenty of money in the bank. You don't have to, if they say, oh, you must do this immediately, just hold, you don't need to do it because they won't give you the current year's money. Because, you could negotiate about this for a good long time without worrying about running out of money.
I totally agree with you. And I was thinking about that on the way over. We have plenty of money to float along as we are with the money we have saved. But I don't want to let this change in our behavior be cemented in stone without first off understanding what's going to happen and whether or not we can change it. Right. We just can't wait until that's the way they do it, because Pescadero is in the same situation as us, right? They exact same. And if they give up, then we'd be the last ones, and they say everybody else is doing it. So it wouldn't hurt to start working our way into the system.
That's fine.
Okay. I'll do my thing and see what happens. So getting back to the to the financial report. I know that Greg mentioned misspellings. Can we fix those? Or approve a misspelled letter? And
we could approve the letter
with spelling
with
correct.
spell check applied.
Yes.
Yeah. Great.
Can we do that?
Yes.
Let's do it then.
I already fixed the major error, which was a year typo.
Oh,
Great. Did you have something you want to say, Claire?
Yeah, you're not gonna like it. I am very unhappy about this whole thing. I think it's symptomatic of the fact that we don't seem to have an alliance with the county. We ask for things, we don't get good communication back. People aren't meeting us halfway, letting us know what they're actually doing or listening to what we're actually doing. Case in point, really minor, but there's a thing that the communications office for the county puts out and sends to cities once a week saying what's been financed, what the plans are, what meetings are coming up. It's just a little info sheet. The people in Half Moon Bay have been sending it to me once a week when they get it. I have requested from the county that they start sending it to us. There's no reason why they shouldn't. Half Moon Bay has on our behalf requested that they send it to us. They've said, yeah, we'll do that. We have a little bit of problem with our software. It might take a while for us to do it. And this has been going on for like 3 or 4 months now. That's just symptomatic of the way that we're treated, and I don't like it at all. It makes me nervous to see what's happening in Pescadero. I just wish we had a better working relationship, and I'm not sure what to do about it, but I think this is just a part of it.
so I mean, I think I'm gonna try to resolve that in my little way to work my way into the system. So they know who I am and maybe I can have an impact. But that's all I can say. I'm gonna try to work our way, be an advocate for us in there. So in this little part, if that's okay with you guys.
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear here that no action will be taken without the approval of the council to do anything with the account.
You mean the existing money?
Correct.
Oh, you mean if I have to like transfer to something else? Transfer it
Yeah.
somewhere else? Oh, yeah. I'm
No
not doing
change
that
will be
without-
made without the approval of the
Absolutely.
entire council.
And the steps and the new account, everything, I will make sure you guys know all that.
Yeah, you're just gonna get information and you're gonna bring it.
Absolutely. I'm not doing anything.
Okay.
I'm not transferring any money because I will make sure you guys are fully aware of it, and Gus and I will do it at the same time together. So,
Like the nuclear launch codes.
yes.
Call the
we-
question. All right. Okay, wait, so let me, Burnett's got his hand raised. Burnett, do you have something you want to chime in with?
Yes, I do. I'm sorry I got in a little late here. I was watching you guys on TV actually, but I did want to sign in because I think one thing you want to do is check out the appropriation process. Is this being appropriated to you, or is it being appropriated to the controller into a fund? So that might be a question you want to ask if you're going to have the meeting. The other thing is, if they're concerned about fraud or the other thing, there's things you can do to protect that. I don't know if you have 2 signatures on your checks right now or not. That's one way to do it. Somebody approves it, approves whatever the payment's going to be, and then the different person actually does the payment. That would give if they're concerned problems taken care of. So you might, they might be just using that as an excuse because it sounds kind of lame to me, because there's easy ways to solve any problem with concerns about fraud. The other thing is you might want to take a quick check. If you think you want to open another account, you might want to double check with the bank that you can do that, because any interest earned by the bank has reported to the IRS, and that's why they want the tax number. So I don't know that you can open an account without a tax number. Maybe you can, I don't know.
There's no interest on that statement in the bank statement. There's no interest from that.
Yeah.
Checking account, yeah.
Yeah, Marisol, go ahead.
Thank you. So
We can't hear
I
you.
just
We lost you, Marisol.
wanted to mention that.
You're breaking up and we can't hear you. I think the controller cut your connection.
Hello.
Zoom thinks she's talking, but
Marisol, are you still here? Because we can't hear you.
Maybe you could call in on the phone. That might be a clearer connection.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm here. Can you?
nope.
You're going in and
Hello?
out.
Why don't we just finish the vote and then we can coordinate with Marisol later?
Alright, I'm probably, if she can get back into the meeting, we'll let her talk, but yeah, like.
Are you aware of Parkinson's law?
What is Parkinson's law?
The work expands to fill the time available.
Yeah.
We were an hour and 10 minutes ahead of schedule.
And now we are 0 minutes ahead of schedule. Okay, yeah, let's, whatever, like, I think we've drifted from the primary purpose, which is to just approve this.
Yeah.
Vote warrant vote, so let's
Let's
go
vote.
ahead and
Let's vote.
Kimberly, will you please call the roll?
Sure. Greg,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Claire,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Kimberly, yes, Gus,
Yes.
unanimous approval.
So I still would like to hear what Marisol has to say.
Yeah,
about
if you come back in, I will turn the floor over to her. But now let's go on to the next thing, which is
Council member activity.
Council member activity, great, go for it.
I know I'm still on the hook for doing the stormwater report. As you can see, I've been writing other letters. I did meet with a representative, a resident in El Granada where there's a new flood problem that hadn't been identified, and I am now prepared to turn my attention to this stormwater report. Now, in connection with that, there is the possibility we might want to obtain the services of a consulting hydrologist or geologist to comment on the findings that we put in the report. Because we can express our opinion, but it would be a lot more forceful. And I don't know how much that would cost. But in the spirit of.
Get us an estimate?
I will, but in the spirit of a peer review, I think we have enough money for a peer review. Do you follow me? So I'm just throwing that out there as potential. When I present the stormwater report, I'll let you know what potential costs are. But I think we have a serious issue that should not be discounted and needs to be supported by some testimony from somebody other than an MCC, council member. That's it for me.
Okay. Council member activity.
Oh, I give the MCC update to the Half Moon Bay City Council once a month, and I'm a little nervous about public speaking, but it goes well. And Claire helps me summarize what we're talking about, and I have a few talking points and deliver it.
Awesome, thank you for doing that.
You got it.
Claire, anything?
No.
I did meet with Ray yesterday, and I gave him a summary of just kind of some of the things we've been talking about, some of the issues. He mentioned we talked about, is it possible to get any kind of administrative support whatsoever? And not clear that there'd be funding for that for somebody from within the county, but then we kind of came up with the idea maybe of, you might be able to get an intern and we could get somebody, I was like, great, like if we can make that happen, great, because we can give them, that person, some specific tasks and maybe they can come to meetings and, get some experience, like blah, blah, blah. So he's actually going to look into seeing if we can get an intern for us. So be exciting if that happens.
I think Marisol is back.
Oh, hey, there she
Hi,
is.
everybody. Sorry, I don't know what happened to my connection. So I was about to say that with respect to the controller, the supervisor cannot tell the controller what rules to impose. He's a separate elected position. So, but if you guys have any other comment or question, I'll happily take that back to the supervisor, but that's really just the gist of it. He's an elected person and the supervisor cannot tell him what rules to impose.
But he could advocate for us.
Well, like I said, I could definitely take the comment or questions if you guys would like to have anything for me to relay to the supervisor, I'll take it back to him.
Okay. Thank you. So, yes, Dan?
I don't know, as far as question that I would have is, you know, a clearly written as to the, all the reasons why that this change needs, that they're advocating for this change. And, you know, why there can't be a workaround, because it seems so, you know, just because, you know, we're just a small little, you know, $3,000 a year. I mean, come on. I mean, that's pennies. Why does that have to be? Why is there a big deal now? It's always worked before, you know, those answers to those kinds of, to those questions. There has to be some kind of workaround, in my opinion.
Well, if we come up with a budget and we ask for the money, or they might just send it to us.
Or are there, you know, are there some benefits that they think we will have? And if they think we will have these benefits, please let us know for us to consider, to see if it's, you know, worth the trouble.
So if I may, Marisol.
Okay.
I know that you said the supervisor has no sway over the controller, but the controller does not have the power to decide that the MCC does not get its allocation of money. Is that correct? That decision lies with someone else.
Can I just jump in? The controller can decide what the county's accounting policies would be, and that this kind of thing falls underneath that. This is absolutely within the controller's, like,
right, but the controller cannot decide that the MCC does not receive its $3,000 allocation.
That's no, but what he has decided, as near as I can tell, if I understand it correctly, is that allocation will remain within the county, and then when we want to use it, we have to go to the county to say, here's what we want to use it for, and then they will fund it themselves. So like we are sort of taken out of the process of just paying for things ourselves and reporting to the county after the fact. It's like the argument is that's poor accounting practices, which is, you know, actually not an unreasonable position to take. To say, well, we as a county are just finding out after the fact what you guys did for a year. That isn't actually, strictly speaking, great accounting practice. I think there is a perfectly reasonable argument that for $3,000 a year, this is like not the hill to die on. Why don't you just let it? This is like, ignore this. This is like, so this is like money in the couch cushion kind of thing. But it's absolutely within his jurisdiction to do it, and it isn't an unreasonable position to say, you know, us finding out a year later what you guys did is not great accounting practice. It's just
So I understand that, but what I'm getting at is I think this is a little more than that, because does that then give the county the power to pull that money back if we don't use it in a timely manner, or if the controller decides that he's not going to allocate the money to anything that we would like to spend it on? That's a different issue, and I feel like it is a little bit of a control and a political issue, not just a controller process issue.
Well, everything is a political issue, but yes, Lisa, do you want to say something?
The big issue is whether you get the whole 3,000. You have to spend the whole 3,000 or you won't get it. There would be no accumulation to do larger things like has happened in the past. That's the trade-off.
They want to get reimbursed for every little box of donuts that Dan picks up for some meeting. They want to piddle around reimbursing the MCC for every last little nickel and dime thing. I can't believe it. That's ridiculous.
But Lisa's right. We don't get the cumulative.
I understand that.
Yeah. Yes. Sure. I think that's
that may be what it's all.
From the controller's perspective, that's irrelevant. Like from an accountant's mind, it's like, what is the process by which these expenses are getting approved or not? Like the issue of whether we get to like accumulate things or whatever is sort of like not technically speaking his concern. we could go and make the case to him. That's why I think Scott and I should at least try to see if we can meet with him to make the case that for this particular narrow purpose, it's worth having a slightly different process than you might normally do. But that's a case that we would have to make, yes. But
I'm also concerned that they're looking at, they say, we want to look at these figures because we want to get an idea of what the MCC actually needs, right?
Yes.
And they're going to get the idea that what we actually need is about $300 a year.
971.
What?
971.
Oh, 971, okay. But not 3,000. They're going to say, okay, good, you can do it 1,000.
I agree with you. That's why I say we gotta spend it.
Yeah.
And make it visible.
I
This is
agree.
where we need to get by. Yeah.
Well, no, not necessarily, because I think Lisa's point is that sometimes you have to save up enough money to put it where their important needs are when you need larger amounts of money. And we don't have that, we don't have the ability to submit a request to the controller for $10,000 for some special project because it's very unlikely we'll get it.
But we could spend $10,000 on something now.
Yes.
With our own money and impress them and get something done.
And what about all the website we got for free with Lisa doing the pro bono work? If we had expensed that, it would have been far above our budget.
folks, we are not going to settle this tonight. I will reach out to see if we can get a meeting with the comptroller's office to advocate for this. We'll see how that goes. If we want to try to ask Ray to weigh in and help us make the case, we will, but let's let Scott and I try to talk to them first.
I think that's fine, Gus. I guess what I'm trying to say is don't dismiss the fact that if you come up against a wall, the controller needs to be reminded that there are other factors at play and that there is somebody above the controller who makes these decisions. This is not just a controller process decision.
I think that's a somewhat debatable point procedurally, but certainly politically, that's, I suppose, a reasonable point.
It affects the way that the MCC is able to operate. I mean, it impacts our ability to do things. It impacts our
yes, that's true, but that is
our ability to exist, really.
Yes, also not his concern.
But we can make it his concern.
We can try to make it his concern, yes. Okay, but we cannot solve this tonight. Can we?
Council member activity?
Move on from this.
Yes.
Great. Fantastic. Do we have any other council member?
Yeah, we haven't covered council member activity.
Yes, we did. We just did it.
We just did that.
Oh, well, I have some.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Okay.
As I said, I'm going to work on stormwater. I'll advise on whether a consultant makes sense. We also received, or I received, and I don't know if anybody else did, so I'm asking, a blind copy of the CCAG strategic plan for the county. Now, CCAG does a bunch of stuff, including managing our stormwater permit and work with a whole bunch of governments. So I'm bringing this up now so that I have the council's permission and understanding that I will forward this email. Normally, I understand our communications policy is I'm not allowed to forward emails blind to the council. So this is a public meeting. I'm advising you. I'm going to forward you the CCAG strategic report. I don't know if you care to look at it or whatever. I certainly am going to, but there could be something in there. Finally, I think you know that I began a flow of funds analysis earlier in the year. After I finish stormwater, it is my hope and prayer that I will be able to work on the flow of funds, what our community contributes to the county in taxes and what we get back. I suspect that will also be a very interesting study. That's it for me.
Awesome. Any other council member activity? No. Okay, future agendas.
I brought up the tracker. You want me to read from it?
Yeah.
We had somebody saying there was a Greg Fontana saying there was a mountain lion outbreak. We had a previous incident, previous line item was traffic safety accidents in the Midcoast. We had our third fatality in the last year and change on Highway 1 recently. And then we got a request in chat on August 14th to have a sheriff safety update. Asking if we get the new captain of the Coastside Sheriff. There are several issues cited in the chat about a fatality at Clipper Ridge and the Highway 92 closure, Devil Slide, blah, blah, blah. So I just throw that out there. There's some kind of safety issues that we could try and bundle in.
Yeah, I'll reach out to the sheriff's office to see if
He gave an update to the Half Moon Bay City Council. The new sheriff was there.
I will reach out to him tomorrow. The transportation demand management program, the Get There Together program. Shonda wants to present at the September 25th meeting, so I said, great, we'd like to have you. So let's add her to.
Is that San Mateo County Transportation?
Yes, San Mateo County.
What does that entail?
What does that entail? It's what the presentation is going to tell us.
She didn't tell you ahead of time. I mean, what?
She and I are meeting next week. No, a week after next. Something 9th or 10th or something to just kind of walk through what they're planning to present. Blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
9:25, did you say?
Yes, 9:25.
So I have an agenda item.
Okay, go for it.
I think we really need to allocate some time to talk about replenishing our numbers on the MCC. This has come up several times and I'm a little perplexed by it. We need to look at succession planning and, recruitment.
Yeah, I think we had a discussion about that in our very first meeting this year, and then we just got, I don't know, slammed with some pretty big issues. And I think we just got so slammed with that stuff that just fell off. The long-term stuff just fell completely off.
So that we can have a free booth at the farmer's market in Half Moon Bay and we can advertise ourselves there for
That's a
nothing.
great idea.
That is a great idea.
I talked to them about it already. We just have to ask for it.
I've got one person I'm gonna try to.
Kimberly's been talking with them too, so you guys
Okay.
may want to coordinate.
Oh yeah, I'll go. I'll
Yeah.
spend the morning there doing it.
But we have to get financing for that.
I've got one free, so. I'll see if I can convince him to throw his hat in the ring.
Well, we've traditionally done a election forum, which we could very well do for the school board candidates. It's probably a little late. I think we've been dropping the ball in terms of elections in general.
There's other, like the League of Women Voters, and I know that we have done that in the past, but I don't think I'd recommend overstressing our council at this time.
Yeah.
Because I believe that other organizations will also offer that.
Hopefully they will. I haven't heard of anything.
I want to offer a highly contrasting perspective to that, which is if you were running for someone who has run for a couple higher offices, the thing you're struggling the most with is for people to have any idea who the heck you are and that you are even running at all. And as many opportunities as you have to put your face out there so people can have any idea who you are and that you're running is great. So sure, League of Women Voters will do their thing. That's great. That's what they do. But I absolutely welcome school board, the local school board.
They actually don't do that. They run it. They don't sponsor them. They need a group that sponsors it. Like that's what we've done before. Is we're the sponsoring group and they're the operations group. So they don't just go out and do it themselves. They need somebody to invite them in.
Nice.
We have to go back to Kimberly's concern.
Yeah.
I want to say that, I have talked to several community members, put the seed out there, if you will.
Great.
It's sometimes it just takes a little time for community members to talk amongst themselves and to for someone to finally see the need or find that they have the time and make that commitment. So that's my hope, that all of us will, talk to the members that we, people that we know, neighbors, get the word out there. And, we are probably the best people, to answer questions to, for any potential candidates. Just remind, the mission of the MCC, the goals of the MCC, and anybody could do it. What, you have to be 18? What's the rules?
I think you probably do have to be
Yeah.
Who's retiring and who's staying? How many openings do you have?
Can we focus on agenda items? So
Yeah.
I second the idea that we have an agenda item on that. I also point out we have an MCC communications policy we never quite finished, and that's another potential agenda.
Yeah. We could do that one next thing. So what do we, so we don't.
We have to get Kimberly, I think Kimberly, who was working on that? Was it Claire or Kimberly?
Claire,
Both of
Kimberly,
us.
right?
But
Right,
have-
for the communications policy, could we kick that back at least one meeting to 2 meetings? Because I won't be ready for the next meeting with that.
I'm gonna be gone the second meeting.
So you're gonna be gone the 25th of September. Okay.
Okay,
So maybe the first meeting in October?
Okay, great. Put it on the agenda for first meeting in October. Fantastic.
Just for the record, I also posted on Nextdoor about the vacancies at the MCC, and
Great.
just about every time I talk to a community member who has, and there are a number of them who have been proactive and involved, I mention the same thing.
Okay. Awesome. Okay, do we have any other future agenda items to discuss? No?
Hey, let's adjourn.
Then are we ready to adjourn? Yes.
I'm ready.
Okay, I think we're
Anybody?
adjourned. Thanks.